Welcome, everybody, into another edition of the Living Deadwax podcast here on the Living Deadwax YouTube channel. Thanks for joining us. We talk about music here and vinyl and cassettes and CDs and music-related paraphernalia. Got a fun one tonight. Tyler chose the topic. Tyler, how are you doing tonight, my friend? And let us know about tonight's topic.
I'm doing fantastic, brother. I picked tonight's topic. I decided I want to dip our fingers in the drama of bands. So, it's clickbait shit right now. Drama alert. Okay. We're getting into our favorite band feuds. So, I think the majority of these are not things that we readily talk about very often. So I'm pretty stoked to kind of get into that. We've talked about these people, but not these events. So especially on the show, but maybe not even in person with each other, maybe, because there's some stuff on here that I knew about, but I didn't know about. And so in doing my research, I was like, oh, wait, this gets even weirder. So there's that. So, yeah, we're getting into favorite band feuds, whether it be internal or external with other bands, other people, whatever the hell. I'm into it. So I was going for the drama clickbait.
Yeah, I mean, we do talk about this a lot, kind of in our outside podcast lives. We do enjoy the drama. It's always interesting about interband dynamics, and like people hating each other, and when shit becomes a business and suing each other over money, and some of these people are family members or like family. So, yeah, it's always fun.
Because for us as complete outsiders, non-artists, non-industry folk, whatever, right? We're just fans. But it's like you can't wrap your mind around like being in a band with somebody for 30 or 40 years and then breaking up the band over whatever the fuck. Like you still end up fighting with these people who are your brothers or your sisters, whether it be literal or not. Like it's insane that you just decided to break the band up over whatever after so many years, that you just can't hold it together anymore. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I think part of it too, the reason why I'm kind of drawn to it. I mean, I think a lot of people are just drawn to the drama of it. Like, I think just music fans in general get into BSing about this stuff. But I think part of the reason I'm kind of drawn to it does have a wrestling dynamic. And I understand, like, we're talking about feuds, but I don't mean in that way, because wrestling is more so about the backstage shit than it is almost about the wrestling anymore. Exactly, the politics of wrestling. So I think being a wrestling fan and being a smart mark, like you can kind of be a smart mark about music because of this shit. And it's like, yeah, I know all about the Motley Crue, Mick Mars lawsuit, and all this pointless stuff that doesn't matter.
Also,
like
at least he's out of the band. At least you're not going to Journey right now, looking at Jonathan Cain and Neil Sean in an active lawsuit with each other.
They didn't make the list because I was like, I don't want to talk about Journey. But it was funny. We were just talking about it the other day, like a couple months ago, texting back and forth because like new stuff has come out that I didn't even know about, and now Neil's feuding with Greg Rowley. So like you created another feud.
Neil has burned both bridges because Greg Rowley was a part of the Neil Sean of the Journey Through Time gimmick. So like, not only are you feuding with your day job, but your nighttime gig there, that's also something you're gonna blow up. So you're just dumb as shit, Neil Sean. Shout
Basically,
out.
That also, would actually be.
I didn't know if you knew this or not, but I think I sent you the video of Neil going on record saying that he did not like Open Arms and did not think they should put that out. Didn't know. Yeah, that's just you're dumb as shit.
I knew about that. Yeah, he's talked about that before. But yeah, it's a funny video.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show you, Neil, like I said before, Neil, I love Neil's playing. He's a great guitar player. He made my top 10 guitar players. You can check that out on the channel. But yeah, dumb businessman. Like that band would not exist if he was the leader of the band the whole time. Guaranteed. It would have imploded.
You luck your way into two of the best musical relationships you ever had, and then you decided you wanted to burn them to the ground. So doing great.
Essentially, and that's not absolving like Steve and Jonathan because they're weirdos too. Like we'll get into it, but a lot of this stuff takes weirdos to become as successful as you are. But
Yeah,
like,
that's why
yeah,
they write songs.
Neil's weird, but he's also not a good businessman. You're dumb. Like you're a
Yeah.
dumb businessman. You're a dumb business person. Like you said, you burned 2 bridges now. And I was gonna say it's gonna be interesting when that finally does implode. I would think it's going to implode eventually. And kind of what happens. Like, are we gonna have 2 journeys?
No,
There's a
it's
band
Neil
I'll talk
Sean's
about.
Journey Through Time.
Yeah,
Continued Journey Through Time.
Neil Sean's Journey, the guitar player from Journey. So yeah, that will be interesting because I don't know, or maybe they'll just maybe they do realize because the lawsuit is actively ongoing and they're still touring. So which is funny because they're both funding each other's lawsuits. But maybe that shows that it's never going to break up, and they realize like this is our cash cow. So
well, as we've talked about before in prior episodes, Neil evidently, apparently, supposedly, allegedly, Neil needs the money. So if Neil wants this this is the lawsuit funding tour. Okay, so Jonathan, if you really want to win this lawsuit, just quit touring because Neil doesn't have money for the lawyers. Okay, so that's how you're gonna win here by default. Just insanity.
Yeah. If he truly doesn't have any money, exactly. That proves my point even more. You're a terrible businessman. You're terrible.
Don't know how you do that.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, that's the intro for tonight. If you like this type of stuff, hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below what are your some of your favorite feuds. Let us know. Sound off. We appreciate you. We are over 50 subs now, steadily. Like we would kind of jump and then like people would jump off, but I think we're there now. I think we're above 50. I think we're hovering. It's all up here from there. I think we're actually gaining momentum. I think we're gaining momentum. So
we're not actually a million shy of being a million subs yet. So we're no longer there. Yeah. So
we're past that.
Yeah. We're 999 or 950. Yeah. There you go. 950. There you go. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's get into feuds, my friend. Like I said, I can bring up any articles or if you want to bring up anything, videos to examples, exhibit A's, let me know.
All right.
But go ahead. And I got 5 with an honorable. So whatever you're feeling.
I think I have the same. All right.
Okay.
So I have 2 here for you with one guy. So
okay. Double dipping.
All right. So somebody who has not been shy to the whole feud game is one Axl Rose. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So Axl Rose has been involved in a number of high profile feuds with different, whether it be in his band or other bands or other major stars, some of the biggest stars in the world anyway, ever. So I'm going to do 2 here for Axl because they both are very fun to me. So the first one is actually one that I knew about, but one Ricky Rackman gave more of a full accounting of this feud. And it was not really a feud necessarily as it was like a drunken night, but just the fact that it happened is hilarious. All right. So it's 1989. They are Guns is playing the Cat House, owned by Ricky Rackman, and they're shooting the video for You Can Be Mine. And so the video that did not
that's
come
where
out,
they filmed it. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So they filmed it there, which that video didn't come out until like 2 years ago. So it was forever they held that back. And so, or no, not You Can Be Mine. Lied to you. Not You Can Be Mine. It was the video for shit. Hold on. Anyway,
You Can Be Mine would that wouldn't make any sense because that video did come. It was Terminator 2, and that was on Use Your Illusion 2. So that's 91.
Right. So it's gonna be It's So Easy. Excuse me, It's So Easy. So they're shooting the It's So Easy video, which didn't come out until very recently, and it was a tune-up gig for them to open for the Stones, Guns.
Oh, wow.
So at that show, somebody showed up. A very drunk David Bowie showed up at that show.
At the gun
So
show?
at the gun show.
Okay.
So a very drunk Bowie is at the gun show, and he sees one Aaron Everly, who is at that point engaged to, I don't know if they're married yet, but she was with Axl Rose. And Aaron Everly was looking pretty roll tide there in that video. She's all done up in leather and pretty roll tide. But she looks like she's basically like a dominatrix kind of looking thing, I guess. I haven't seen the video in a little bit, but like it's pretty gnarly. So anyway, so when which is also Bowie is there with Slash's mother because they used to date. So so he's there with Slash's mom, and they're towards the front of the venue, and Bowie starts hitting on Aaron Everly. And yeah, and so Axl sees this, and there you go. Look at
right.
Hell yeah. So so Bowie so Axl sees Bowie doing this, and then Bowie gets accosted by Axl, and Axl chases him out of the cat house and punches him in the face, supposedly, is what happens.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
yeah, I'm gonna kill you, Tin Man. Axl Rose is knuckle brawl with David Bowie over at Girl.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly
that makeup looks weird on him. Jesus.
Really not good. Really not good. So funny story. So fast forward to Axl them being on tour with the Stones, and they were doing sound check before his show on that Stones tour, and Jagger and Clapton come up to Axl and they corner him, and they ask Axl, "Did you punch Bowie?" And Axl tells a story or whatever. He's like, "Yeah, you know, this and that happened, whatever. Yeah, it happened." And then from Axl's story, then Clapton and Jagger just start shooting on Bowie and just start saying that when he gets drunk, he's the devil, and he's one of the worst people, and they just start shitting on him, I guess, when on Bowie when he gets drunk and messed up, whatever, right? So then Axl's like, at a certain point, I'm no longer in the conversation, and they're just sitting there going back and forth about old stories about Bowie being a piece of shit. And so he's like, so that's what happened. So Axl Rose, David Bowie had a fisticuffs of sorts one night at the Cat House in 1989. Absolutely hilarious.
Do you know the result of the feud? Did they make up eventually, or
I don't think they ever really made up. I don't actually know if it actually kept burning. I think it was just kind of over at that point. Bowie got sober, like completely sober. I was actually surprised to hear that he was still drinking in '89, because I was under the impression for years that Bowie was sober since early '80s, since before Scary Monsters. So I thought he was like sober then, but I guess he was at least drunk in 1989. So there's that.
Interesting.
And then I have another one. Should I do my other Axl one?
Yeah, might as well. Yeah, just keep rolling.
All right. So there's
let's do an Axl show.
We could really do that because I'm actually not including like 3 other ones. So all right. So another one that happened is at I believe possibly at the Cat House again, either Cat House or the Troubadour, one of the two. And they're hanging out there one night, and one drunken Izzy Stradlin supposedly to different stories here, either grabs a breast or kicks a woman that is in relationship with one Vince Neil. And so Vince Neil's girlfriend and or wife, again, all these stories, I've heard all of these words used. So Izzy apparently assaults this woman that's in relations with Vince Neil, and then Vince Neil accosts Izzy at the 1989 MTV Video Music Awards, where Motley Crue gives Guns N' Roses the Best Metal Video Award, but it's just Duff and Steven, because Axl Slash and Izzy are in the Tom Petty tribute little performance they do. And so he's not with them. And so after the Tom Petty performance later that night, when they're walking through the the backstage area or whatever, I guess supposedly Vince punches Izzy as hard as he can and attacks him. And then Axel defends Izzy, and they get into it, and they get pulled apart or whatever. And then Axel goes and says he was messing with Izzy because supposedly Izzy was hitting on his wife or whatever, not assaulting, but hitting on her. And then that starts that feud up. And then I guess it kind of ended there. And then Axel was asked about it in a Kurt Loder interview like a couple months later, and asked him in jest, like, so I guess you and Vince Neil, you guys have made up by now. And he was like, oh, no, not doing that. No.
Oh, no.
Basically. No. And he was like, no, I'll fight him. I don't care. I'll fight him. I don't care where. Name the place, name the time. I'm there, man. I'll fight you, Vince. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
And so the funny thing here is so supposedly, and then 1 year later, Vince is interviewed. So it's 91 at this point, 91. Vince is interviewed, and they ask Vince about Axel, and Vince comes back and says, you know what, motherfucker? I'll name the place and I'll name the time, and we're gonna fight. I want to get you in a ring, and I'm gonna beat your ass or whatever, right? And so I guess it was supposedly kind of supposed to happen, and people were trying to get them to fight at the Forum in LA. And then, I'm sorry. Go.
No, didn't Ricky Rackman have something to do with it? Wasn't he gonna like promote it or something? Wasn't this on like the 100 greatest moments or
I'm sure it was
gnarly moments or something? Because I've heard this story before. But continue.
Yes. The little bit that I did not know until I did more research here. So people wanted to get it at the Forum in LA, but then Sammy Hagar and Eddie Van Halen came out and said, listen, we'll rent MSG to put it there. We'll float it, and we'll get this thing out there on pay-per-view. So they threw their hat in the ring for no reason, because I don't think there's any relation whatsoever between those camps, really. Hey. And so they threw their hat in the ring to float and fun
Sammy,
the fight.
Money to be made.
That's true. Sammy. We just talked about Neil Sean, bad businessman. Sammy Hagar, the best businessman. So he saw an opportunity and he wanted to capitalize on that. Yeah. So that happened, and then it was pretty much done forever. And then they didn't talk about it, and then they just whatever. And Axel went into hiding, obviously, when Guns was gone. And then Vince later in like 2011, maybe, I want to say, he started shitting on Chinese Democracy coming out finally after all those years. And then he said that one of my buddies got hired over there to play guitar for Guns. And he was in the band for 3 years, and he would rehearse and stuff. And he's like, and he never met Axel once. That was DJ Ashbaugh. So he said that Axel never showed up to rehearsal in 3 years. And he's like, that's the one thing you have to do is show up. And that's the last thing that apparently has ever been said between the two. Axel has never said shit because he doesn't give interviews and talk about anybody, doesn't talk to anybody at all about anything. So so anyway, so Vince is Vince Neil now in Motley Crue, and Axel is Axl Rose in Guns N' Roses, and just living their lives. So that's how 60-year-old men do it.
So they'll never get that Motley Crue Guns N' Roses stadium tour, probably.
That'd be the weirdest tour ever, truly.
Should be funny because because Guns is still alive to a fault, like where Axel sounds like shit, and then Vince is sometimes live to a fault, and then sometimes not, depending on who you ask and what time of day it is.
And Nikki and all the guys, really. So all that fun stuff. But Axel and Guns in general, a lot of good feuds, and I liked reading about that shit. It was good.
That's not even talking about the inner band. That's not even going into Slash, and like he said some gnarly shit about that dude, and now they're just making music.
He said he's a cancer. He's better to be cut out and avoided, and anybody that's a fan of him as well. He started misaligning his own fans. It was a real bad time there for about 25 years. So
man.
yeah, but that's just the band. So I didn't want to do that because that's just there's too much there. But give you some
100%.
quick bites there with a Bowie and a Vince Neil riff.
I never heard that Bowie one. That's a good story.
Yeah.
I'd heard the other one before though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with one that you may or may not know about. I had to I never knew about this. Okay, I found out when I was doing my research, and because I've never read this part of this book. Okay. And so I own the book, but I flipped through and read certain sections, but I've never read through the whole thing. So this feud is also hilarious because it took 20 plus years for the other side to ever make a remark about it. Nice. So it was basically completely one-sided. So it stems from this book. So Rollins, get in the van. So there's a story that Rollins tells about Black Flag opening for Venom in 84. Okay.
Wow.
This book came out in 94. Okay. So 94, the book comes out or whatever. He tells a story about opening for Venom. I'll just pull up the actual quote here because they talk about it in this article. Keep in mind, this article is from 2015. Okay. So it's specifically Kronos from Venom responds. So we got our one side here, and then representing the other side, I had to pull Venom's black metal. All right. So anyway, this feud is hilarious when I was reading about it. So 1994 memoir, Get in the Van. Henry Rollins had some unflattering things to say about Venom. 86 show. Excuse me, not 84. All right, they opened for Venom. So let's just read the quotes here. So Venom took almost an hour to get on stage. They had roadies tuning their guitars and shit. Finally, they hit stage. They were hilarious. It was like seeing Spinal Tap. The drummer had a guy that held an electric fan next to him and kept him high and dry. The singer bass player was named Kronos. He had some great raps. He got the crowd to chant what I thought was black, funky metal over and over, which I thought was pretty cool. And I thought that maybe I was wrong about these guys, which I don't know what that means. Like, oh, there's black, funky metal. This is fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. All right. I found out later that it was black fucking metal. Oh, excuse me. I expected to go into the Spinal Tap song Sex Farm Woman at any second. The guitar player was so bad it was painful. I had a great time. The bass player was hilarious. He would wiggle his tongue and roll his eyes, but he'd also fix his hair every 15 seconds or so. After an hour of I can't fucking hear you, they said, good fucking night, New fucking Jersey, and ran for the dressing room. Venom is weak. Everything about them is weak. They can't play. They had a bunch of roadies do everything. Weak. I'd love to play with fucking heavy metal bands more often. It was fun crushing them. It's all lights and makeup. What bullshit. Venom suck. They're so full of shit. What a bad joke. They don't sweat, and they probably don't even fuck. Hilarious, right? Hilarious. All right.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
I don't know if Kronos never knew about this or what have you, but 20 plus years later, we get a response. Okay. On a podcast, he was asked about it. So Kronos goes into the truth about what happened. So let me tell you the truth about that concert. Henry Rollins' mom phoned us up. I don't know about this. This is so weird. They were the next big thing in New York, and then they had such a huge following. Little did we know that they were a fucking sad little band that had no following. When we got there, they were just fucking children. They couldn't play. They had no fucking instruments. We had to lend those guys the back line. They arrived at the show with their fucking little care packages with their sandwiches in it and a bottle of orange juice. It was like, I thought you guys were a band. I thought you were musicians. And they just cried about everything. We couldn't stop laughing at them. But for those guys to arrive at the show with their mom, and their mom's like sort of like telling everybody what to do, and she gets into an argument with our manager, and our manager just told her to fuck right off. She was like, we were promised a dressing room. And it's like, yeah, there's the room in there. There's like 3 chairs in it. We don't own the venue. We just turn up. not interested in the backstage. We're interested in the stage. We're here to play a concert. Behind the stage, there are some rooms. There's a toilet in one of them and a chair and a table. That's your backstage. This is the reality of rock and roll. It's the backstage. She cried her fucking guys out. But those guys were such fucking children. And for all of this about how he stood and watched the Venom show and couldn't, laughing with his friends, as soon as they had finished playing, they got in their van and left. So I don't know what show he watched, but it certainly wasn't the Venom show. And also, if you read the book, he got the date wrong of the gig. This is why Henry Rollins writes books and is no longer in a band, because he's not a fucking musician. He's a fool. This is hilarious because it's a random pairing. Venom is an extreme metal band, kind of think Motorhead, but sloppier. Black Flag, obviously hardcore punk. So completely different things. Also, this, I don't know what Rollins' mom had to do with Black Flag, considering Black Flag was a band before Henry came in.
Also, Rollins hasn't talked to his mom at that point in at least 5 or 6 years.
So I don't know what woman Kronos is talking about. The funny thing about Rollins is he talks about them not being able to play, but the first thing Rollins will say about himself is, "I'm not a musician. I'm not good."
Correct. Yeah.
So it's funny he's shitting on them for not being musicians, but he says that about himself all the time.
Yeah.
So it's such a random ass feud with two pairings of guys. I also like how it took 20 years for the other side to respond, and then I couldn't find anything else after it.
Yeah. That's amazing. I didn't know. I don't remember that in the book at all. Okay, that's incredible. I love it. Yeah. I don't know who booked that show. It's a very interesting show to book in New York there, evidently.
I guess Henry Young's mom booked it. I don't know.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know who's like, I don't know anything about Kronos at all or the Venom dudes.
Oh, he's like, crazy.
Okay, so like I would like to believe Rollins remembers everything, because unfortunately he does, for better or worse. But
he's weird. Yeah.
Very weird. Yeah, he's very on the spectrum, 100% on the spectrum. And so yeah, I don't know. That's also just a very weird story that Kronos comes back with, though, because it's like it's so like particular and there's such like weird detail in there that like I'm sure that happened. I don't know if he was talking about Black Flag or not, or if he's mistaking or whatever.
Different
I have no
band.
idea. Yeah, because like the whole thing with get the van or whatever, right? The whole thing is them sleeping on fucking dirt and like just like basically being homeless for years and just being nomads throughout the country. So like I don't know if they would ever bring up, I'm not an expert on Black Flag by any means, but I don't know if they'd ever bring up the backstage area. And I don't also think they've ever had a woman besides they had a couple girls in the band every so often, but like I don't think they ever had a woman tour manager or mom or anything. So I don't know. Very odd though. It's a very interesting. I never knew that there was ever any kind of beef there whatsoever on any level for any years. But that's hilarious. I love it. I also love the Venom, that no pun intended, that Kronos brought 20 years later.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I took it much of the same way. Like, I feel like he's telling a true story, but it's about somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's hilarious. It's hilarious feud. That's like kind of not even a feud. It's kind of my honorable tonight. I just thought it was hilarious. And I mean, I love Venom, so I'm not really taking sides here. I like Rollins too. Yeah. And it's whatever. So it's just a funny like non-feud feud. I find Rollins' criticisms hilarious, and then I find like I get it, Venom's stupid. Like that's the point of Venom. Like they were way over the top. But he's like shitting on their playing, and I'm like, none of you guys could play either. Like that's the point of your band.
Yeah, like, that's punk. Like that's what that is, right? No one's incredible musicians. That's the gimmick, you know.
Funny as shit. I also highly doubt that they blew Venom off a stage at a Venom headlining show, because the kids there to see Venom aren't going to be into Black Flag.
Yeah,
there might be some crossover there, but not a ton. Like Venom's a story in itself, because there's two Venoms. So like there's Venom Inc. now. So Kronos and Mantis have feuded for years, and that's been the thing. Like just get the original lineup back together and just play and make a shit ton of money. They've been offered, and they can't make up. So that's a whole nother episode. That's like an Axl Rose episode.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that was my kind of my honorable, I guess.
Okay. I love it. That's incredible. All right. All right. So, what else I got down here? Okay. So I'll do another one here. Another one of my favorite bands ever. So, there was a band from Venice that came out in 1966 and got together 64, 65. That band is The Doors. And The Doors, one of my favorite bands of all time, talked about them many, 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 many times. So The Doors, on the tail end of the 90s into the 2000s, started a feud. The surviving members, they started having feuds, and so they wanted to get exciting again. So but it was an internal feud. So Jim died in 71, I want to say Jim died. And so when he died, his family, the Morrison estate, took over for him, obviously, for his vote. And then Robbie, so you got Robbie, then you got Ray, and you got John there, okay? So going into the late 90s, early 2000s, they got offered a shitload of money by Cadillac, $15 million to license, I believe it was Light My Fire, and they wanted to put that in a commercial for Cadillacs. And so Robbie and Ray were like, we're going to do that. And then John was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. And they're like, what do you mean? And then John came back shot back through lawyers or whatever, right? Or some phone calls, whatever. He was like, don't you guys remember when in like 68, Buick came to us and said that we'll give you a boatload of money to license Light My Fire? And they wanted to change the lyrics to Buick Light My Fire. And we kind of were like, yeah, let's do that. And then we told Jim, and then Jim said, we're not going to do that. I would never do that. And I can't even trust you guys anymore, because if you guys would actually have done that, I don't know what we're doing. And so they all kind of agreed, okay, we're never going to do commercial stuff. It's never going to be a thing for us. It's not on our cards, right? So that was the agreement. And so when Cadillac came to them all the years later and Jim's dead, then John had to go and call the Morrison estate and say, hey, can we kibosh this real quick? Because they're really trying to push for this with Cadillac. And so the Morrisons had to come back and say, yeah, we're not going to do that. And so it's 50-50. They need a, I believe the gimmick is they need a consensus. So they need 4 out of 4 to do anything for the band. I believe that's how it's set up. So at that point, it got kiboshed. And then they went out. So John is in his own little world there. And so John's outside, not necessarily in a bad way. He just doesn't do anything with Robbie and Ray. So Robbie and Ray decide they want to, 2002, I think you might remember this more than I, 03, they got with Ian Astbury and Stuart Copeland from the Police, and they went out as the Doors of the 21st Century. And on the ad mats, it was the Doors of the 21st Century. Obviously, right?
Yeah.
So they started touring on that. And so then again, John calls up Jim's estate and goes, hey, so apparently your son who died 30 years ago, apparently he's back alive, and so am I, and we're touring right now. I need you to call your lawyers so we can end this. And so it's always the J's versus the R's. That's the gimmick.
That's funny.
So the J's on one side and the R's on the other side. That's how I always remember this. So they go to court because Ray and Robbie are saying that John and the Morrison estate are hindering their ability to earn a living because they can't call themselves the Doors of the 21st Century. And obviously Jim and Jim's estate and John are just like, you can do anything you want. Anybody can play Doors songs. You can't call yourself the Doors of anything. You can't do that. It's the band. You can't do it. So they go to court, and they actually have Neil Young come out. Eddie Vedder comes out, and they make statements in the courtroom. And Eddie says, I hope that is loosely, whatever, right? But Eddie says that I hope one day, I think I might have screenshotted this actually. Hold on. So you might not bring this up, but I thought it was very interesting here. So let's see. I didn't screenshot that. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But Eddie said something along the lines of, "I hope that whatever legacy, when I'm a dead musician one day, and I hope whatever legacy me and my band ever have never gets exploited by anybody else, and that anybody that has as much integrity and conviction as John Densmore has is in charge of our legacy." And so anyway, they also, by the way, so Neil, everybody was obviously on John's side in the entire thing on the Morrison Densmore side. So so much so that when Stuart Copeland got on the stand and they asked Stuart, who's in the band, who's in the Doors of the 21st century, they asked Stuart Copeland about whatever. And Stuart says, yeah, I pushed back on it. I said, I don't think we should call ourselves the Doors of anything because we're not the Doors. As far as I can tell, the Doors died when Jim died, as far as my opinion is. But I got pushback on that. And I said that and I was told that if we don't do this, then the limos and the buses are going to dry up and the arenas and everything else are going to dry up. So we can't have that. So that ended basically that whole little deal. And ever since then, they did make up at a certain level. Everybody was friendly later on in life. They all wrote books about that. John wrote an entire book about the lawsuit that I've always wanted to read, but I just never have because I'm dumb and I haven't bought it. But he wrote an entire book about the whole episode and him fighting with his friends of 60 years or whatever, right? So yeah, and now Robbie and John are the only ones alive anymore, so and they're still rocking it and putting out stuff every single year. So
yeah.
Taking my money every year for Record Store Day. So there's that. There's the Doors feud back in the 90s, 2000s.
Yeah, Krieger and Manzarek, they countersued for $40 million.
Jesus.
Densmore. Interesting.
Because he said you can't use the band name. And he said you can't take the fucking money from Cadillac. God damn.
So they were being prevented from making a living as a musician. That's why they did it. That's what they said. That's funny. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this shit is going to stem from money that we're going to talk about. Usually that's the culprit most of the time, or women.
Fair.
And fair. Yeah, that's
also I don't even know all your feuds, Ty, but all of my feuds and I'm assuming all of your feuds are fucking meaningless. It's money, and then it's over just the dumbest, stupidest shit. Fucking none of it ever actually is worth anything. No one ever did anything super atrocious, at least on my side of things. That maybe you might. I mean, there are some ones you might go into that are really bad. I don't think you added into the list, but you might have. Yeah, most of mine are useless.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I guess it depends your perspective on it. Like, that's kind of a useless feud because, like, you guys could just do a band and make money. You don't need to be called the Doors. Like, it's still going to sell. The most people understand that it's not the Doors. Like, the average person isn't buying that ticket. Like, oh, the Doors are back. And also, what I did want to say, I remember, it's screwed up that oftentimes in these feuds, like, people get drawn into it that aren't even like Ian Astbury and Stuart Copeland. Like, they're just guys. Like, they just wanted to play with their guy. Like, they're heroes. Like, Ian Astbury worships the fucking Doors. Like, he worships Jim Morrison. So, like, I'm sure he was like, yeah, I want to do it, but I don't, but I have to.
Yeah.
Because, like, I'm going to get to do it. And then you get dragged into all this shit, and then you get fans shitting on you. And it's like, that happens a lot, too. There's all like innocent people get dragged into it. It's like
collateral damage.
I'm just trying to do shit. So
I'm just trying to live. I'm trying to go home, like, God damn.
Let's talk about a fun one.
I love it.
So one of my favorite bands of all time, from Seattle, a little band called Queensryche. This is the album that sort of stemmed from the feud. There's also another album out there that I will never own because it's awful and it's not a Queensryche album. But anyway, it was like 2012 when Jeff Tate. Well, it started with Queensryche firing Jeff Tate's wife as their manager.
Oh wow, I didn't know
and
that.
they fired his daughter who ran the fan club. So basically, Eddie, Eddie Jackson, Scott Rockenfeld, and Michael Wilton, the other original members still in the band, all got together and they voted to fire Jeff's wife as the manager and his daughter, who ran the fan club, because they just weren't happy with the direction things were going, and they felt like it was Jeff's band, like it was just Jeff's show at that point, which it really was. A lot of shit that happened towards the end of that band, like Jeff was just doing whatever he wanted. That's why you got the stupid cabaret, Queensryche cabaret shit, and that's why Mind Crime 2 is a thing. That's why the fucking the record, the record he did where he like, it's, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like interspliced with a bunch of interviews of soldiers and shit. Like it's just weird ideas that are dumb. Like it doesn't fit this. Like if you want to do it as a solo thing, cool. Here's some other Queensryche, I guess, to represent the other side. So there's Empire cassette, which you may see on a future pickups video.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, so that's 2012. Okay, they were still together for like a month or two, and then finally things came to a head in Brazil. They were getting ready to play a show. They were doing sound checks, and they got into a giant fight. Punches were thrown. I guess Jeff like kicked over the drums. Like it was not good during the sound check. And that's when Scott, Eddie, and Michael got together again, and they voted to kick out Jeff. Obviously, that didn't sit well with Jeff. So Jeff and his wife put together a lawsuit, and they sued the 3 original members of Queensryche that are still in the band for the rights to the name. They also sued not unlawful, but for firing him. Like they didn't have like breach of contract or whatever.
Wrongful termination, whatever. Yeah.
Wrongful termination. Yes, 100%. So while all this is going on, Queensryche's kind of like, well, shit, what are we going to do? Basically, Jeff filed an injunction, or Jeff filed in the lawsuit that they couldn't use the name. So neither of them were using the name. So how Todd LaTorre got in the band, which is his first record, is those guys were like, well, shit, we need to make a living. We need to make money. So let's do another band. So they got together, and Michael had met Todd at NAMM and in like 2013. And then they basically formed the band before they even did anything with Todd. Like Todd flew to Seattle. They'd never even worked, and they started working on their first, they're doing songs together. That band was called Rising West. It was supposed to be a side project while they figured out what was going to happen with the name. So eventually it went to a judge for like a preliminary hearing, and the judge threw that out. The judge said, both of you, all of you have rights to the name, so everybody can use the name. That's how this album came out, and that's how Queensryche Jeff Tate version, FU with a giant fist on the cover, came out. So that's why you got 2 albums right at the same time with the same name.
Yeah.
Okay. So eventually, 2014 came around. That lawsuit was finally getting worked out. I think the 3 original parties, they countersued Jeff for the name and to kick him out.
I don't mean to interrupt you. This is the worst thing. It literally has rings FU. This is literally the pettiest, dumbest shit in the world. Okay, I'm sorry, keep going.
I've listened to a little bit of that record, and I've watched live footage of that tour. Like it's awful. It's awful. It's just a bunch of hired guys, like Rudy Sarzo's in the band. It's not his fault. He's just involved in this. But yeah, it's not good. Anyways, like 2014 comes around, the lawsuit finally comes due. They go to court, all this shit. And Queensryche, the 3 original members win. So they win over Jeff. And they settled too. They won and they settled because they settled for the name. So the details for the settlement, and I'll read this verbatim because it's fucking hilarious. Okay. So let me pull this up here. So this is from 2014 on Billboard. So this is what Queensryche posted. Also, during this time, they had to create a new website, Twitter, Facebook, all that shit, because Jeff would still post on there. Jeff's camp. So they had to create all new gimmicks.
Start
So
over.
Jeff didn't have access to anything while all this feud was going on. So you were getting two updates. I remember this. I remember getting an update for Frequency Unknown and an update for this record.
Yeah.
On the same things and being so confused.
I remember when this was happening, we drove past Marquee Theater, and I remember that it said, because I remember talking to you about this because this is when it was happening, and Jeff Tate's Queensryche was playing at the Marquee Theater. I remember having the conversation with you as we drove past it. I was like, so is that just Jeff? And then that was we just had the whole conversation of what's going on. It was the weirdest thing.
So here's the actual settlement. This is what they posted on their Facebook. So Queensryche, the new Queensryche. Century Media is pleased to announce that Eddie Jackson, Scott Rockenfeld, and Michael Wilton have successfully agreed to purchase. So they settled in one, sort of. Agreed to purchase Jeff Tate's portion of the Queensryche name. The band will buy out their former lead singer's share of the Queensryche Corporation, while allowing him the ability to be the only one to perform Operation Mindcrime and Operation Mindcrime 2 in their entirety. So those two albums Jeff can perform in their entirety. He will no longer have use of the Tri-Reich logo or any other album images aside from the Mindcrime releases. He can only refer to himself as the original lead singer of Queensryche, or formerly of Queensryche, for a period of 2 years. And that text must be at least 50% smaller than his name on all materials.
Oh my God.
This is where this shit gets good. So after this 2-year period passes, he can only refer to himself as Jeff Tate with no mention of Queensryche at all, which I feel like he's broken a lot. I don't know what's going on with that, but Jeff Tate will be able to finish any confirmed dates billed as Queensryche lineup scheduled to terminate on August 31st, 2014. As of September 1st, there will only be one Queensryche entity. So they named the band members that are forming the new band. This lineup will continue to perform selections from their entire catalog, including songs from Mindcrime. The band will be able to use all logos and previous album artwork. So that's that side. Jeff released like a similar thing, like I'm going to be the one and only voice of Queensryche forever, all this shit. So really petty stuff. So that's basically it, right? Wrong. That's what we think is it. So
wrong.
Wrong. This actually gets more interesting because this is brand new. Scott Rockenfeld, the original drummer of Queensryche, who plays on this album and he plays on 2 of the Todd albums. He left the band in 2017. He left the band for personal reasons. His wife was having a baby. Like there was something wrong with the baby, stuff like that. The band granted him leave. Okay. So he left and basically just never came back. And this article kind of talks about that, which we'll get into. But basically, he never came back. They tried to reach out to him about doing the album in 2017, The Verdict, and he would return calls, shit like that. And they were like, are you coming back or not? They had to get a new drummer. So eventually they got a new drummer. According to them, he signed off on them getting a new drummer, but I guess he just expected to still get paid and do nothing. So this is actually brand new. So this is June 3rd, 2023. So only a couple months ago. So he says on a Facebook post, I'm looking forward to the upcoming trial. Basically, Michael, he sued Michael and Eddie, the only 2 original members, for same thing that Jeff did, unlawful, termination or whatever, breach of contract, all that shit. So he's looking forward to the many truths that will finally be revealed. So this lawsuit was filed in October 2021. It mentions all the stuff I talked about. And why he hasn't been paid for lost wages and profits and royalties and all this other shit. The funny part about that, they're countersuing him. And the reason they're countersuing Scott is because the original agreement, they took out loans to pay for the lawsuit against Jeff.
Oh my God, yep.
And pay to buy the name. Well, Scott has not paid any of that.
Yeah.
They also had to put up personal collateral. And it's funny because they talk about the collateral that Scott put up and it's like computers. Like that's it. Because they literally mention in their countersuit, like Scott owns no personal property. Like he owns no real property. So It gets real petty and crazy, but basically Scott never paid into the terms of the lawsuit originally against Jeff.
Yeah.
So I don't think really Scott has a leg to stand on. But so yeah, Scott got fired because they set up a band meeting for him to call in. And it's funny because they mentioned in the countersuit that Scott texted Michael and Eddie, "Hey, can I do this over telephone?" And it's funny because the lawsuit says, even though Queensryche has always done shit over the telephone because we're not living near each other anymore. So
Yeah.
obviously it was fine. They said it was fine. They set the date. Scott never showed up. Scott never called.
No call, no
So
showed.
essentially, so he got kicked. He got voted out of the band there. So yeah, this is still ongoing, which is funny because it's spun out. What's even more funny is Scott started in 2021 a website called Queensryche 2021. And he started posting about how he's got new music coming and we're going to drop shit and all this stuff. And sign up for my website and the mailing list, all this crazy stuff, you know? So I guess he released an outtake for one of the Todd albums that was never supposed to be out there that I don't think he has any rights to. So they're counter suing for that too. So that website no longer exists because I tried to go to it, but just bizarre, fun, awful stuff. Like as a fan, I'm happy that the band is with Eddie and Michael because I actually think they give a shit.
Yeah.
Whereas if it ended up with Jeff, it would just be a revolving door of people. And I wish Scott was still in the band. It's weird circumstances because he just left. Like something bad happened in his life. Like even Jeff said that. Like he said that in recent interviews. Like I'm worried about Scott. Even Todd. Like they talk about Todd trying to reach out to him, and he just wouldn't return texts or calls.
Yeah.
So I hope the dude's okay. It just sounds like you have no leg to stand on, brother.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a weird thing. Like, I don't, no disrespect here, but you're the drummer. Like,
well, he owned a third of the band. He owned a fourth of the band, and then he won a third.
For sure. But I'm saying, like, releasing, like, first of all, getting a website to like what it kind of sounds like you were going to do a third version of the band or something, which is very odd. And then you release an outtake of the band you're no longer a part of that you don't have ownership in anymore, or at least the song rights or whatever, right? You don't have a right to release that independently, you know, put it out there, and you did. And you saying there's a date on it and stuff is, again, just very bizarre. Most drummers wouldn't do that.
Another funny part about it, they talk about in the countersuit is, like it was all agreed upon. We're all going to pay monthly for these loans that we all agreed to buy this trademark from Jeff and buy out Jeff. Okay. But the funny part about it is they talk about Scott's main source of income is touring with Queensryche. And he hasn't toured in Queensryche in 6 years. So obviously he hasn't paid into the lawsuit or the fund to pay off the loans because he hasn't been touring with the band.
I don't know.
I'm sure they would rather have him there, and so he could pay his share of the loans. Like they never wanted to kick you out. I don't think they like.
You forced their hand, homie.
Essentially, if you're not going to show up, like they have to tour. So
the no call, no show didn't help you out.
Hilarious.
That's absolutely wild.
That's one of my longer ones tonight. So
no, you're good. I love it. We've talked this many times. I didn't know obviously I didn't know any of the new information at all. So very interesting. I just knew because Eddie Trunk talked about that they like had Scott in promo photos for like ever, and they didn't officially acknowledge that he wasn't in the band anymore. And it was like kind of an iffy thing, especially during the COVID time where like things were booked and then canceled all the time and stuff like that. I guess Scott was still in promo pictures for a lot of that stuff. And because nothing was going on, that was obviously what they talked about all the time. So Eddie would go on there probably like once or twice a month. He would talk about, he was like, it's the weird thing. Queensryche, Scott's not in the band, but they still, on every festival they book, then they cancel. Everything still has Scott in these promo pictures. Why don't they just acknowledge what's going on here?
I don't think they knew.
Yeah. they didn't know what actually was going on, and they was still up in the air whether he was ever coming back or whatever the case was, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because they talked
Wild.
too, because to get Casey in the band, the current drummer, they say they got permission from Scott.
Yeah.
And so that tells me right there you're not coming back. So like you were just expecting, it's kind of, I guess it's kind of like the Mick Mars situation where I think Mick just expects to still get paid. That's a different situation, but it's kind of the same. Like I guess Scott just expected to still get paid for like touring and shit, and it's like you're not in the band anymore.
Yeah, like
So
we've
I
talked
don't.
about before with other band situations, like because it's a business. It's a business that these band members founded and they are members of the board on or whatever, right? So any other business that that you're a part of, that even if you're not taking part of it, if you're a silent partner or whatnot, you still get payments from that business you put money into, you founded or whatever, right? Until you are no longer a part of it or voted out of it or whatever the case is. But it all kind of depends. It's like we talk about the Tom stuff with Blink. Like Tom was getting paid a Blink salary every month or whatever, quarterly, regardless whether he was in the band or not. And it was just different now that he wasn't actively touring. It was just a different amount than what he was getting touring, but he was still getting every payment from Blink LLC, or Blink Corporation on it. He's not limited, but but
I mean,
whatever.
I guess Travis and Mark didn't want to have that fight. They probably could have taken him to court, just like Queensryche did with Jeff, and
totally
doing with Scott. So yeah,
it's not on my list here, but I mean, because like we talked about it before, but like it easily could have been, but like that's why like for Tom or whatever, that was exactly. So the thing with Tom though is like he quit the band and then had to double back and say, no, I didn't quit, I'm just on a leave right now, or I'm on hiatus, because if Tom or if Mark and Travis wanted to push it and really wanted to say, well, he said he quit, then they could go to court and they could probably get something to permanently get Tom out of the band and have him lose his spot or whatever, right? But yeah, so it's very interesting. Like the Mick thing is another weird thing. Like it's not on my list either, and you didn't do it, but like it's another whole weird thing. Like I think you get money, I just don't think you get the same money. And if you're expecting to get the same money, I don't know what we're talking about. Like I don't.
Yeah, I think it's a little different there because I think they did actively screw him.
Yeah.
And I saw something today, like Nikki said in an interview recently, that I was shocked when he left the band. Okay, dude. The more and more that comes out, the worse they look. So
yeah, hold up. You were shocked when the guy who can barely walk left the band. The guy who said, I'm glad that we went out on top, or whatever he said, at the end there. Last time he's like, I'm glad we did this, and I didn't want to be a cover band or whatever, right, or a tribute band. He said all the right things. Mick did. You were surprised when that guy left the band, or he decided he wanted to retire. The hell are we talking about? And that was another thing weird, because again, not go deeper, like that was another weird thing where like they have an agreement that if you're not in the band, you don't get to have like any payments from the band, right? That's the whole thing. Because that was what happened when like Vince left and like when Tommy left and stuff, like the whole nother weird thing that you don't have any rights here unless you're in the band. So odd and weird, and hopefully that gets settled here pretty quickly. But yeah, they look like shit. All right, fun stuff. Also, that record you were talking about, the Queensryche one is American Soldier.
Oh yeah, that record's awful.
Yeah, that's the one with the talking or what have you. Yeah, the interviews. Very, very interesting. All right, so another one that I have here, one that I didn't actually even know existed, truthfully.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I was reading. I was like, what? Because I have a million that we can talk about forever. We've talked about a million times, whatever, right? But I didn't really want to bring those. I wanted to bring ones that I hadn't any idea about. So, one of the nicest guys, so it says everyone in the world, especially since being sober, one of the nicest men that ever exist is one Elton John. Everyone loves Elton John. He's the sweetest man, whatever. And he does all these nice things and this and that, right? So, apparently there is a feud of sorts that Elton John has with another universally beloved figure in music, Keith Richards. Did not know there was a feud here. So
maybe did I.
Yeah. So basically, speculation is that Keith didn't like that in I believe 80, Elton sat in with the Stones for a quick little thing in Colorado at a show. And Elton ended up sitting in with them for 10 songs. And it was supposed to be like a one-off thing, but he just kept going. And supposedly Keith had a big issue with that because it became like an Elton John show kind of, right? And he didn't like that. So
Okay.
that was like the first, I guess, little piece of it. So then when so that was in like 80, I believe it was, either 77 or 80. Those are the 2 years that take in my mind. So fast forward to 1997. In 1997, one of Elton John's very good friends, one of the most famous people in the world, Miss Princess Diana, passed away. And he re-recorded Candle in the Wind for her. Candle in the Wind 97. Mm-hmm. It's like the best-selling physical single of all time, right? So this is what Keith said, just exact. So Keith said, in reference to the 97 Candle in the Wind, that the tribute to Marilyn Monroe did jar a bit. It's songs for dead blondes. That's what Richards called it. I'd find it difficult to ride in the back of something like that myself, but Reg, Elton John, is showbiz. And he also he echoed the sentiment a short time later and took aim at Elton's theatrical stage style. John fought back in interviews published in the Daily News that same month. I'm glad I've given up drugs and alcohol. It would be awful to be like Keith Richards. He's pathetic, poor thing. It's like a monkey with arthritis trying to go on stage and look young. I have great respect for the Stones. They would have been better off if they had thrown Keith out 15 years ago. I just think he's an asshole, and I have for a long time.
Wow.
Absolutely insane. So not only just that, though. So he said also in regards to the Vegas level of theatrics there, please, if the Rolling Stones aren't showbiz, then what is? With all their inflatable naked women. John went on the offensive in his 2011 when he criticized Richard's recent autobiography Life, which I own. I have not read. I've read a little bit actually, but I've read maybe half a chapter. It's a thickie. It's what I want out of a huge, but it's just a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, so in that, I did not know this. I'd never heard about this, but Elton John sticks up for Mick Jagger because there was a bit in that book that apparently was a big deal. And Elton John on the book, he said, I was a little bit put off by hearing about the bit about Mick Jagger's penis. If I had said that songwriting partner Bernie Taupin was a miserable twat and had a small dick, he'd probably never forgive me, because in that book, Richards, I guess, said that Mick had a small dick, and was an asshole, right? And then Mick made Keith publicly apologize for that statement, or he would never tour with him again. And then Keith did; he publicly apologized, and so everything's fine. But that has never been resolved, and officially still have a feud going on. So you have 75-year-old men, 80-year-old men actively upset and mad at each other over things that started potentially
still going
years ago. I mean, they don't really talk or whatever, but yeah, like unofficially, they're not BFFs or anything like that. Like, I think they had a picture together at some point in the last 20 years, but that was it.
Okay.
Like, it's like there's no like whatever, right? I'm sure if you asked Elton John, he would still maybe be nice about it and say like he's a twat, I guess, or whatever. But it's also just funny because Mick and Keith are forever. Like that's the funny like legendary mythos of the Stones is there's always like a weird feud going on with Keith and Mick, and that's like the rock and roll thing, like the lead singer and the guitarist or whatever, right? And Mick and Keith are never really friendly necessarily, and Mick has gone on record recently in the last few years or so saying that Keith's just a miserable twat. He's not happy. He's not a happy person. So very interesting that we're 60 years on this band. Very tired, and he doesn't do like coke anymore, I don't think so. Like he's working on 80-year-old man shit. That's insane. But yeah, that's a good one. Learning about that feud, I liked learning about that and reading that Elton John was giving it to Keith Richards. Pretty fun.
That's a good one. Let's talk about another lead singer and guitar player
Hell
who
yeah.
hate each other. Talk about the Ramones, Joey and Johnny. This feud's fascinating because they hated each other the entire time and
Entire
just
time.
never broke up. Never once thought they're the only two members that were in the band the entire time. And they never once thought like, hey, neither of them ever said like, hey, this is we don't want to. They hated each other, but they understood like who butters their bread, which is
Yeah.
hilarious. And then you have Linda getting involved, and Johnny stealing Linda away, which is fascinating because if you read interviews like with Linda, she says like the only reason she really got with Johnny is because Joey was like, well, I can't get rid of Johnny. And then Linda was like, okay, well, I guess we can't be together. And then Johnny was just so persistent. Like he never wanted to be around. They never wanted to be around each other. They wouldn't go to dinner together. They wouldn't hang out. They would be in a van, go to shows. That's it. And, like Linda would say, like when Johnny got sweet on Linda, he would go to dinner with him all the time, with them too. But he would never talk to Joey or acknowledge him in the room.
Yeah.
So like he was just there to woo Linda with Joey, who's going out with Linda at the time.
This is like early 80s, right?
Yeah, this is early 80s.
Yeah.
Just such a weird, awkward dynamic. Like you're in the same room together, you're at a dinner table, but you're not going to acknowledge him, but you're there to steal your lead singer's girlfriend away, who they did eventually get engaged. And then they never got married, and then they broke up because Joey was like, well, I can't get rid of Johnny. So like, what are we going to do? And then she ended up with Johnny and married until Johnny died. Really fast. I was reading a quote too, like a recent interview with her, and she talked about like the day they found out Joey died. They were driving together. They were going to Lisa Marie Presley's house, and randomly, and like they heard it on the radio that Joey passed away, and like she started like getting upset and crying, and Johnny was like, "Oh, if you do that for him, I wonder what you're gonna do when I die."
Oh my god.
And then she said, yeah, I was wrecked when Johnny died too. So I think she loved them both.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating. Like she got together with Johnny just because she was so persistent with it. And she literally says that. Like I was just enthralled that two guys from a band that I loved wanted me so bad. And then Joey, like Johnny looks like a dick there. But like she says, like Joey was very passive and Johnny was very like aggressive. And so fascinating. They hated each other the whole time. They were together in the entire time, never split, did a ton of records. Just what a crazy dynamic. Total polar opposites too politically. Just like what a weird dynamic. Fascinating. I think it adds to the lore and the records and everything.
No, 100%.
So yeah.
No, there's a oh god, sorry, go.
Now, also, too, KKK Took My Baby Away is not about Linda. That song was written before. Like, people always say that. I was reading a Forbes article from 2021 that was talking about it.
Okay.
And Joey's brother, also Marky, are on the record that Joey wrote that song before Linda wrote that song before he even met her. So, so like it's not about Johnny taking Linda away. It's about Joey being in love. He was going out with a black woman, and her parents didn't approve of their relationship, and Joey assumed because he was Jewish that was why. That's what the song is about. So, like I see that lore still, and I'm like, first of all, just because Johnny was a conservative doesn't mean he's a Nazi. So. Second of all, just look into the lore of it. It's not true. I mean, Joey's own brother has said that. So, anyways,
yeah, no, it's no, that's a good one. I know a little bit about that. I haven't looked into it too deeply, but the little that because I knew a lot of what you said. So there's also so I know because Stern was really close with Joey. Joey and Stern were really good friends. And if you don't know, Stern's entire look is just Joey Ramone. Like, that's all it is. Like,
Yeah.
he's ripped Joey off. And then that's why the only reason why Stern ever looked cool is because he looked like Joey Ramone. That's the only reason that ever happened.
Yeah.
And also, so that is true. But also, one of your favorites, D. Snyder, also claims that because they were neighbors and they were also good friends. He also claims that he's the one that got Stern his first ever cool look with like leather jackets and stuff, because like he looks like a dork. And then Dee and his wife took him to whatever cool rock and roll store and was like, "We're gonna buy you these things," and they made him cool. And then that kind of started it. So
I'm sure Dee doesn't mind taking credit for that either. So,
yeah. No, 100%. So anyway, so with that, they also Stern also always tried to get because Joey went on Stern all the time, and Joey's tried to always get Joey and Johnny to talk or whatever. And there's like a really awkward interview on there where Joey's in studio and Johnny's on the phone, and he's trying to get them to make up or whatever, because I think they announced their retirement officially on Stern way back when. And I think Marky's on there, and Marky's like, I think he called Marky too. Marky's like, I don't want to break up. Like, I don't want to break up. I don't want this thing to end. But obviously, they can't stand each other or whatever. And there's this really awkward interview with both of them on the phone, or Joey's there and then Johnny's on the phone. And it just sucks. It just sucks because like you could the tension is palpable, and it's how many years like post what happening. It was 15 almost 20 years post the happenings, right?
That relationship and stuff. I think part of it too is like I don't think they ever got along. So I think the Linda thing is like the tipping point, but they just never broke up.
Yeah.
Like that was 80, and then the last album is 96 or 95 or whatever. So like,
and the fact that they're the only constants, that's hilarious. And what's funny is we just talked about Motley Crue. Mick and Nikki are the only constants in that band. And this lawsuit is mostly Nikki versus Mick at this point, like, because Nikki's the one talking the most. He's the guy. So kind of funny. I
was refreshing myself on a lot of that stuff, and I was in the punk subreddit thread, which is great because that's the most miserable subreddit I've ever been in, because the whole thread was about who they can and can't listen to anymore. Because it's people, you can't listen to the Ramones because of Johnny, because of this song, and I'm like, this is miserable. This is literally miserable.
It's retconning shit right now.
Like, why are we even doing this? Just stop. Just go away. Just stop. Just stop listening to the music then, if you're gonna go this hard with it. But anyways. That's a crazy one, just because they never kind of like Keith and Mick, they just never broke up. I guess they've realized that the juice is worth the squeeze, so like we're just gonna work it out,
be miserable, and just stick it out. So they just don't get divorced. Doing great. There you go. I love it. F&A. Again, about nothing, about women, I guess, originally, or just other petty bullshit you just don't agree on that you can't ever get past for some reason, and then it goes on for 30 years. So doing great, doing good stuff. All right, so one of the biggies here, I got two left.
I got three.
So. Okay, all right, you can keep going. All right,
we're good, because you did two at the start. You did two axle ones.
So. Okay, there we go. All right, so I got this, and I got another one, and then you can go. All right, so this is a big one. I could not include it because I have not talked about this officially, but I could not include it. This is a good old Gallagher dispute. One Liam and one Noel, but there's Noel. So I don't have any Noel solo records, I realized, because I'm not a huge fan of the Noel solo stuff, but got all Liam's. I actually got another Liam record in today, so there you go, get more sales from me. So, all right, Oasis, the Gallagher brothers. So the very, very top of this feud is that it starts when they were kids. And Liam has gone into it and said he thinks this is the start of it, which is kind of funny. When they were teenagers, Liam came home drunk. They shared a room together, and Liam came home drunk, and Noel was asleep, Noel got a brand new stereo, and Liam he was drunk and he had to piss, but he couldn't find the bathroom because he was too messed up. And so he ended up just pissing it all over Noel's brand new stereo. And Liam said it's from that day forward, he thinks that it all changed. So, because Noel's the big brother, Liam's the little brother. So, they go on in life. It's just petty brother bullshit. And Noel goes on, he becomes a roadie for different bands around England and stuff like that through the mid late 80s. And while Noel's gone on tour, he calls home to their mom and goes, "Hey, what's going on with Liam? What's going on with Paul, the brother, and all this other stuff, right?" And she goes, "Well, Liam's in a band." And Noel's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Liam's in a band?" Because at that point, Noel didn't know that Liam even got into music, because Noel was the music guy.
Wow.
And Liam even talks about, he was like, the first band I ever fell in love with the Stone Roses, which is the late 80s. So like Liam liked the Beatles, but like nothing was really music about him. He was like, it was like football and stuff, but it wasn't music. And so Liam tells a story that he got jumped once, and he got hurt, and something in his brain clicked, and he said he got music. That's what.
Okay.
Whatever. So what he said. So anyway, yeah, so Noel's on tour, and he's told Liam's doing a band. He's like, doing a band? He's not. What are you talking about? He's playing? What's he doing? He's like, he's singing. He's like, he's a singer. He doesn't sing. He can't sing. What are you talking about? And just Noel's just mind blown that Liam's doing anything. And so Noel comes home, and I guess there was always kind of like an idea there that Liam might want to get Noel in this band. And so Liam goes to Noel and goes, "Hey, I'm in this band. Like, do you want to like come see us or whatever?" And he's like, "No." And so then they keep talking and stuff, and then like Noel goes to like a band practice, and then he kind of just joins the band, and that's how Oasis is born. Oasis existed before Noel, so
Gotcha.
then that started like the whole Oasis thing, and then Noel took over obviously as primary songwriter, and Liam sang the songs, and kind of went off from there. Okay, so they are both just absolute insane people at this point in time. They're in the 20s, in the 90s. They don't know anything about anything. And drugs, drinking, and money don't make anybody any better. So they just continue just little spats here and there. They love each other. They're very hot and cold. And but it looks like, for the most part, it looks like they're never going to break up, right? They get in fights on stage. They get in public disputes. They get in fights in the streets and shit. Like, it's a bad scene, but they're always just together. One of which, the worst of the most public thing or whatever, is they got booked to do MTV's Unplugged. I think it's in 96, 95. And they got booked on Unplugged, and Liam went out the night before and got pissed drunk, got all messed up, and ruined his voice and got sick. And so Noel had those, and Unplugged at the time was one of the biggest things ever, right? And so they got booked on that, and because it was right after Definitely Maybe came out, so like they're still top of the world and everything else. And so they got booked on there, and Noel had to do it solo, he had to sing all the songs, and that was the first time Noel really did that. And Liam showed up to the gig, to the Unplugged performance. He was up in the top of the like the little theater area, and he was drunk as shit, and he was just yelling and heckling Noel the whole time. And so just publicly just giving shit to his brother, and it was a bad scene, right? So that happened, and then that kind of continues on. And
they're recording this for MTV.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like this
is out there.
Oh yeah, 100. Yeah, you can absolutely watch this. And
okay,
like,
I never knew this. Okay.
Yeah, and then Noel kind of like apologizes for Liam, or like he says, "Yeah, you're up there, I'm down here." Kind of covers it up and shit. And yeah, you can see the entire like back and forth. It's pretty crazy. So anyway, keeps going, and they go on, and I think they break up for half a second in like 2004, maybe. They break up because they had a big fight, and it's over in a day. And then so keep going, and they go back and forth, and like the dispute basically is, it's all like brother shit, but it's also like Noel is bitter, whether it be like subconsciously or like publicly or whatever, or knowingly, He's bitter that Liam gets all the attention and stuff, obviously, but Noel's the guy. And then Noel comes back with, well, I write the song, so I get most of the money. So, I'm the one that actually, wins here. And then Liam's like, well, I'm the attractive one. I'm the one that gets the chicks. It's whatever. It's all bullshit, right? Anyway, 2009 rolls around. They're on tour, I believe in Spain or France, one of the two places, somewhere in Europe. And they get into a fight backstage, and Liam smashes Noel's guitar, and Noel throws a basket of fruit at Liam and ends the band and leaves. It's 5 minutes before they go on stage, by the way. They're headlining this festival, and Noel then goes and leaves and goes off and does his own thing. And for the next, now it's going on, 15 years, right? Almost 14 years. And so since then, Liam shortly thereafter made BDI, which is most of the guys from Oasis and Liam. And Noel went on to make Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. And that's his solo project of sorts. And BDI with Liam, that lasted for a couple records, and it really didn't make much of an impact. Like, it was fine. Like, it never did big business. Like, it was moderately successful or whatever. And Noel's early solo stuff is highly praised. A lot of people liked it. He still did a bunch of festivals. People come out to see him, and the fans love it from Oasis and stuff like that, whatever. And Liam's kind of on the outs, kind of the down, like, Noel's here and Liam's down here, right? Well, come about 2016, 17, Liam decides to go on his own, as truly on a solo endeavor, and record As You Were, which is his first official solo record. On this, because the thing about Liam, he doesn't really write songs necessarily. He just sings really well, obviously, right? So on this, he did a lot of co-writes, and he brought in a lot of like big-time songwriters and stuff from LA and from around the world and stuff. And he co-wrote a lot of stuff, but he also brought in the songwriters. So he acknowledged his shortcomings, and he decided to lean into it and just, celebrate them and get the good people to do the shit. And he created this record, which this record is better than everything Noel Gallagher has done since Oasis. It's the best. This is still my favorite Liam record too. It's so good. Okay. And then this came. So when Noel was up here, and then Liam was down here, it is now flipped. Now Liam does the most business. Liam does everything that Noel never did. Liam just headlined Glastonbury. Liam just did 200,000 people at Nebworth. Like, just insanity, just big, crazy business, right? He's even getting over in the States. Like, he's even playing bigger, comparable shows to what Oasis plays here. And like Noel, unfortunately, with Garbage, I'm one of my favorite bands, they did shitty business at the amphitheater here. So like they're not doing good either. He's not doing good. And so Liam is up here. And for years now, Liam and Noel have gone back and forth in the press, just like I always do. And Liam talks shit about Noel and calls him a potato. And so that's like a big insult for him. So like he just, Noel's being a potato, because Noel will constantly say how he doesn't need the Oasis reunion. He doesn't really want it. It doesn't matter to him. And Liam constantly says that he wants the Oasis reunion. It'll happen eventually. He thinks that like it'll all turn around one day, and he's kind of like somewhat been asking for it a little bit. And then Noel always just shoots it down, and Noel just talks about it every time anybody asks about it. Noel just goes, "Yeah, we're not going to do that. I'm not doing that. Why? What's the point of it, right?" Because he doesn't want to work with Liam again. Anyway, fast forward to this year. Noel has a new record coming out. Or it just came out, actually, excuse me. Council States, or Council Skies, what it is. Anyway, it's fine. It's the best he's done in a little while. It's fine. So in this press run, the most recent press run, after years of Liam, especially the last few years, it's cranked up. Liam's talking about Oasis reunion is happening. It'll happen. It's happening. It'll happen. It's happening. It'll happen over and over again. So Noel gets asked about this all the time. So Noel has actually started to call Liam's bluff. So anytime that Noel is asked about it recently, he goes, he knows my number. He knows my manager's number. Call me. Just call me. If you have this proposal of some kind, you want to do this, you want to make this thing happen and whatever, then call me. And so after so many years, Noel finally acknowledged, it's not even saying he's going to do it, obviously, but he's just saying, okay, just fuck it. Call me and we'll see what's going on. At this point, once Noel started calling his bluff, and Noel started saying he's not going to call me though because he's afraid, he's scared, because at this point all the fans are on his side, and so he can make me the bad guy. But if he calls me, like he comes back to me and we make this thing happen, whatever, he doesn't want to be in the same room with me because he can't handle it. He doesn't want that. He just wants to talk about it. And
That's
so then they go back to Liam, and Liam goes, I don't need to call him. He's the one that broke the band up. So he needs to call me. He needs to ask me to do it. I'm the one doing big business right now. Like, he needs to call me. But then Noel comes back with saying, he's fine. He just did Nebworth. He doesn't need me. Why does he want to get this act together? It doesn't matter. He's doing the money. He's doing the business.
Yeah.
He's selling more records than I am. So why does he want to do this? So it's a bunch of like back and forth bullshit and bluffing and whatever. I think they both want to do it, honestly. I don't think it's a work. I just think they both are just very hard-headed, and they don't want to. The one doesn't want to talk to the other because then they admit some kind of wrong, I guess, and they kind of like they admit like, I need you or whatever, right? They they don't want to cop to anything. So I think that somebody at some point needs to get them together, and they won't even do it with their mother. Like, their mom wants to have a pleasant relationship in the family because they don't even talk like family. Like, they literally have not spoken to each other since 2009. They don't go to the family stuff together. They don't do events together. They don't do anything together. Like, they are also big Manchester City fans. They don't even go to the same games together. So, like, it's a whole thing, man. So I think it'll happen at some point, whatever. I think the money will get too big, and I think that somebody will get them together and hopefully get a tour going. It'd be super sick. But yeah, so anyway, Oasis, Liam, Noel, there you go. Long-winded one, but yeah.
I actually saw there was I think that might be a potential Axl feud, because I think Liam was shitting on Guns for headlining Glastonbury.
Ooh, nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So
I like that.
Could be
sick.
If Axl responds, there you go.
Another chapter of the Axl Rose feud. That'd be hilarious.
Another thing about these feuds, though, is a lot of these guys have turned face. Like, I think Axl's a face now.
Oh yeah,
I think people just like him. Like, they tour all the time. Apparently, they play on time.
Like, play forever. They play 30 songs.
Yeah, so like I think a lot of these guys, you go long enough, you eventually you turn face again, which is funny.
Yeah.
So
What's funny,
become the good guy.
Yeah, in the Noel, Liam was the heel forever. No one wanted Liam. Everyone hated Liam because he was the pompous, like the shit talker, like whatever, I'm better than you kind of guy, right? And Noel was the more reserved, like kind of quirky, funny guy or whatever. Like, he was a prick too, but he was more funny about it. And then it flipped. And then for the last 5 or 6 years now, Liam's the one. He's the babyface. Everyone loves Liam. And then everyone hates Noel because Noel's just kind of a prick about everything, right? But now, because like Noel has like with this new record, like the new media tour, at least for the last like few months, he's now changed his kind of like media personality, because now he's like leaning into the Oasis thing. He's like, all right, call me then. So now they're kind of both like baby on baby. So it's getting weird.
Yeah, you're right. That'll probably happen. The money will get too big.
Yeah.
Alrighty. This one will be a quick one, but it's a fun one because I remember when this was going on. So one of my all-time favorite bands, Iron Maiden, they played Ozfest once upon a time, 2005. So we have Iron Maiden, which is kind of not this tour, but this is the record that came out right after the Ozfest. I think Ozfest is like an in-between tour because they didn't play the full Ozfest. So they only were like booked for like half of it. Versus Ozzy and Sharon, Ozzy by proxy. So during Ozfest, Bruce Dickinson, frontman of Iron Maiden, would make remarks about Ozzy and how he couldn't sing anymore and was reading a teleprompter, and how Bruce didn't need a teleprompter. Also, he didn't need a reality show to still be relevant, all that stuff. So he's actively shitting on Ozzy and Sharon while on Ozfest, which probably not like a good look. I admit that. Kind of petty, but he would also shit on like the corporateness of Ozfest and like the prices of the tickets, which kind of has a point because a lot of those bands were paying to play on Ozfest. So like, why is everything sponsored all the time? You already got all these bands paying you to be on the bill. So kind of understand that. But anyways, last gig of, or the last date that Maiden was booked rolls around. Sharon, being Sharon, wasn't going to let anything go and wasn't going to be the bigger person in that feud. So she actually had a bunch of nurses that helped her. This is when she was going through cancer. So she had cancer treatment. So she had a bunch of her nurses show up at the August 21st date in Devore, California. And she gave them all eggs. And they egged Bruce Dickinson during the set. They were also egged from the side of the set. I think there was other bands involved, like some other bands. I don't know why. I don't know why you would do that. Like, even if you didn't like Bruce, I'm not doing that for Sharon. Also,
you don't know
Sharon,
you don't know the other bands though.
I can't remember. I didn't look that far. I remember there being other bands. I didn't dig that deep, but and obviously Sharon too. And so yeah, and they also cut Maiden's power during the set. So you're just actively fucking with your paying customers at that point, because guess what? A lot of people were there to see Iron Maiden, and you're screwing with them. So what's funny about this is there's actually recent quotes from Sharon. She has still not let any of this go at all. So this is an article from 2022. So November. So not even a year ago yet. So this is 17 years after the feud, and she's still talking about it. So she basically talks about that, Bruce is always jealous of, which I don't think it's real at all. And
Different. Totally
talks
different.
about talks about Ozzy, or talks about Bruce shitting on Ozfest and shitting on Ozzy during the tour. Somebody asked Ozzy, like, do you feel like you're underrated as a singer compared to like Rob, Bruce, and Ronnie? This quote really got me. Bruce Dickinson is a great singer, but as a person, I've worked with him, he's not very nice. I don't give a shit about that, responded Ozzy. Ronnie James Dio is no longer alive. He was a great singer. I didn't really know him so well. I'm not one of these guys who says many things about people. You literally killed a dwarf on stage and named the dwarf Ronnie, Ozzy. So don't act like you're above anything, brother. The truth is the truth. I met Ronnie a couple times. He took my Sabbath gig, but at the same time, I can't complain because I did great on my own. Took my Sabbath gig. You got kicked out, brother. I don't know what we're talking about here. Ozzy goes, I don't sing for a judge. I sing for my fans. I don't care if I'm as good as Ronnie or Bruce or whatever. Yada, yada, yada. So Sharon has a little less PC answer, talks about him being a dick and an asshole and yada, yada, yada. Kind of recaps the egging incident. And basically at the end of this, she says he's a faceless singer to the general public. People aren't scrambling to get him for an interview. And the thing is, he's not interesting. There's a lot of things I would say about Bruce Dickinson. Lack of interest and interesting is not one of them. It's not one of the adjectives I would use to describe that man. Yeah. But the thing is, Ozzy is original and Bruce isn't. And that's what eats Bruce away. That's a 2022 quote. I don't think Bruce Dickinson literally gives a fuck at all about this anymore, or ever gave a shit about Ozzy or Black Sabbath or anything to do with that camp. So it's just a fun feud. I remember when that went on. I don't even think Bruce has really responded at all since this shit, but obviously it still nags at Sharon's craw, and she's not one of my favorite people ever. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, no, for sure. I remember hearing about that. Obviously, I don't remember. I remember hearing about it in the moment, but I didn't obviously know anything more about it. So, 2010, Ozzy said that when someone doesn't like him, he prefers that people say it to his face. He also said that he never said anything bad about Bruce Dickinson and didn't know why he was so mad at him. You know what? Unbeknownst to me, every night he was going on stage slagging me off, and that wasn't fair. If he didn't like the fucking tour, he should have said I'm jumping off the fucking tour. But to go on stage and fucking slag me off for no reason, I had never said a fucking bad thing about him. If you got something to say to me, be a man, come to my face and say, I think you're a fucking asshole. Don't be a fucking idiot. It's so pathetically childish. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get it. I get it. Like Bruce is being a weirdo, like doing it on tour and on stage. I understand that, but like you also like took it one step too far and actively screwed your paying customers that paid to see Maiden. I
yeah,
also never really understood why Maiden was ever on Ozfest. They didn't need it, at all, ever. They
yeah.
never need to be a part of any packages, even then. They're bigger now than they were then, but they didn't need it then. So like, I never
Yeah.
understood why they were even booked on it. I don't know why fucking Rod thought that was a good idea. So yeah.
So another okay, not to keep it going, but it's funny to me. So this is I think yeah, this is Sharon. We've known those guys since the 80s and we offered them the show. They were getting paid $185,000 each night. So it might be a reason why they did Ozfest. Everything they wanted, they got. They would go on stage and Bruce Dickinson each night would slag Ozzy. He would say some
That's
really
not a lot
short
of
things.
money.
That's fine. I
You're
mean,
paying
I get
six
the meme.
guys and then crew.
Yeah,
That's
it's pretty
not a
fair.
lot of money at all. I think
Yeah,
what's Bruce netting there? Maybe 12 grand, 15 grand a show.
yeah,
You're paying all the crew, you're paying tax, you're paying uh all the band.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
not a lot of money at all, especially even then.
yeah. And so he would say really bad, just things about Ozzy, and Ozzy's the schmuck that's paying him. So I'm thinking to myself, let it go on, just carry on your little shit. So on the last night in LA, I've got 200 Hispanic kids, loaded them with eggs. They had peanut butter. They fucking pelted the shit out of them. Then I went on stage and said, "Look, don't fuck with us. Don't be disrespectful. This is what you get." In the same conversation with Howard Stern, she pointed out that she knew for a long time the Maiden members were trouble.
Oh, fuck that means. It's funny
They're
because
50 years old.
2022, it doesn't have anything to do with kids. It has to do with their nurses. That's what she said in 2022. Now it's nurses that threw the eggs. Also, she claims everybody else in Maiden is great. Bruce is the dick.
Yeah,
Then everybody in Maiden's trouble.
trouble.
Literally one of the worst people ever. Like I think she's a terrible human being.
I
Like
don't.
you've actively screwed so many things up just to be petty,
Yeah,
insecure. So
yeah. No,
yeah.
it's insane. When we just talked for an hour before we started recording here about the Sabbath and Ozzy and Sharon fiasco and them doing everything else to kind of sabotage Sabbath over the last 20 years, 25 since the reunion, that she's done basically anything and everything to kind of shit on anything that's not Ozzy era Sabbath,
Mhm.
keeping Ronnie out of the Hall of Fame, making the Ronnie era tour Under Heaven and Hell, not acknowledging that any other band really existed besides
Mhm. Era. Yeah.
Ozzy era Sabbath. On the website to this day, we just looked at this. There's still no mention besides four sentences of mentioning the other records that came out post Ozzy, but 4 sentences dedicated to almost 20 years of band activity.
Mhm.
There's no pictures of the discography on there beyond anything that's not Ozzy or about anything that's Ozzy related. And also, furthermore, the weirdest thing is because Bill Ward is technically he's not in the band. You're right, he's not technically in the band at this point. The band doesn't exist, but whatever, right?
Mhm.
Bill Ward is airbrushed out of all pictures on this website.
Yeah.
Absolutely insanely crazy, and you're insane to think that's not a Sharon or Ozzy camp thing. You're insane to think that's not.
It
So
it could be Bill, but I highly doubt it. Like
yeah,
when there's smoke, there's fire. Like you have that history.
and no benefit
So
out. There's no benefit out here. It's all
yeah,
on you at this point.
I also learned today like multiple records that Glenn Hughes did with Geezer and Tony were shelved because Sharon wanted a Sabbath reunion. Like it's insane. And multiple guys have said this. Like guys
Yeah,
that are beloved, like Glenn Hughes, like Ronnie, like those guys. Everybody loves those dudes, and they've actually said, "Yeah, Sharon wanted this." It's never Tony or Ozzy it's Sharon.
yeah.
Sharon wanted the Sabbath reunion. So weird. You're she's the most insecure person on the planet about a legacy that isn't even hers.
Yeah. A legacy that
It's
existed before they even met. They were not
yeah, and
together when he was in Sabbath.
it's secure. It's secure. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
What you got? You got one more?
I got this. My last one. This is the biggie. This is the number one gun here.
Bigger than Oasis?
For me personally, yeah. Like for my personal life, yeah. So, all right. The year is 1999. Okay.
Set the scene.
Yeah, picture it. New York City.
The new millennium's just about to arrive. Computers will be useless.
Yeah, exactly. All that. Yeah, New York City, 1999. There's a band founded in that city, and that band is going to be consisting of. Let's see here, just to make sure I got this all correctly. That's going to be one John Nolan. That's going to be one Jesse Lacey, one Antonio Longo, and one Eddie Reyes. That band is Taking Back Sunday. So, John Nolan, guitarist, and Jesse Lacey on bass, and they are childhood best friends. They've known each other since Catholic school. They went to school together forever. They were in bands together, best friends, all that kind of good stuff, right? Cool. So, in thereabouts, they did an EP together as that original lineup, and shortly thereafter, Jesse left the band in about 2000 or so. And the situation behind that is that John Nolan, Jesse Lacey's best friend at the time, ended up hooking up with Jesse's girlfriend, and very, very bad times. So Jesse left the band and made the band brand new. And there was a feud that included a handful and a half of diss songs. And so Brand New came out with this record, Your Favorite Weapon. This is not the original artwork, but it's what the vinyl copy is. So Your Favorite Weapon came out in 2001. And there's a song on here called 70 times 7. And 70 times 7 is basically a synopsis of sorts of the situation, and basically tells a story of all of your best friends. Isn't it funny how your best friend stabs you in the back, and whatever this and that, and the girls, and just girl cheats on me, best friend, all that stuff, right? So anyway, so it's 70 times 7. So comes out there. There's also other little like lines here that have been, it's possible about John, whatever, right? So that happens. Then the next year, there's a record called Tell Your Friends. Taking Back Sunday puts out. This record consists of the song No I in Team. In No I in Team, they actually quote the 70 times 7 song in there in the chorus. And so in that song, hold on. Let me just pull it. I should have pulled this up earlier. So Taking Back Sunday, No I in Team. So the original lyric with, let's see here, Brand New, 70 times 7. There we go. All right. So everyone's caught on everything you do. Everyone's caught on too. So that's what you call Getaway. Tell me what you got away with. This is the brand new song. Because I've seen more guts in a jellyfish. I've seen more guts, or seen more spine in a jellyfish. Seen more guts than 11-year-old kids. So have another drink and drive yourself home. Hope there's ice on all the roads. And hope you think of me when you forget your seatbelt. And again, when your head goes through the windshield. Is that what you call tact? You're subtle as a brick in the small of my back. So let's end this call, end this conversation. That supposedly, let's end the call and the conversation, is the last thing that Jesse ever said to John on their phone call talking about this. So fast forward to No I in Team. This song basically is John's version of events. And he basically just, in the song, calls Jesse a dick. Like, everyone knows you're a dick, you're a piece of shit. And it's all about being best friends or whatever, and just being a drunk. And then the chorus, the breakdown part of the song, they quote Jesse. Is that what you call a tact? You're a settle as a brick and fall on my back. So let's end this call and end this conversation. Have another drink, drive yourself, the whole thing, right? And so it's basically calling him out, obviously, for the event and saying that you got what's coming to you, like you deserved it, like you were a dick, you didn't treat her right, whatever. And, blah, 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 blah. So that feud went on for like 2-3 years, let's say, right? And even still today, a legendary new age emo feud. So they made up, for the most part. John and Jesse made up basically almost like a year or so after this record came out. So like the whole feud was kind of over on their fronts. So they even like did a show together, I believe in Colorado, where they did back-to-back performances of the songs. So like 7x7, then No I Am Team, and together. So like kind of squashed it a bit, whatever. And they went on and had their own careers. John and Sean Cooper later leave Taking Back Sunday and create Starlight Run. Starlight Run released a song called Sunshine Highway, which is supposedly about Jesse, and the Brand New getting big and, getting more popular and stuff, and like their relationship or whatever. And Brand New goes on to become a mythological band. They overcome any sort of tagline from the basic dumb emo 2000s, scene. They become the band. They become, because they don't do interviews. They don't release records very often. They don't tour very often, whatever. And so their legend starts to grow, right? So in the late 2000s or so, especially 06, they came out with the record The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. That's their magnum opus in my eyes. They had the record before that, Deja Entendu, still very good, but I think Devil and God is better. At that point, they cement themselves as not being a part of whatever the emo Taking Back Sunday, Senses Fail, like bullshit little scene. They're no longer a part of that at all. They are bigger than that. They are better than that. They have better songs. Their sound is completely different. They're better musicians, all that stuff. They surpassed everybody. Anyway, the reason I say that is because for years, people would bring up Taking Back Sunday. Hey, why don't you guys ever tour with Brand New? Why don't you ever do that? And then finally, Adam came out and said in like 2012 or 13 or so, he was like, we've asked, the camps and stuff and labels have reached out, managers have reached out, and they just don't get back to us. And it's because Brand New doesn't want any association with those people. They are bigger than what that scene is. They know that. They don't want to drag themselves down. There's still some sort of feelings there on some level. And they're not a part of it. They don't want that. And they're in a different phase of their career, I suppose. And so that rubbed the Take Back Sunday guys the wrong way. And they just didn't like that, obviously. And so about 2015 or so, the Adam Lazar, lead singer of Neck of Sunday, his tune has changed. And by the way, this whole time, because Brain doesn't do interviews, they don't talk about Take Back Sunday at all. But Adam will talk about them anytime he's asked about it or whatever. He'll say something. But Jesse has no response. He doesn't give a shit. Like they're not even on the radar at this point. They're in their own little world, selling out theaters, arenas in some places. Like they're majorly successful in comparison to Deck on Sunday at this point. So anyway, somebody asked Adam in 2015 or so about Brand New and Jesse, and then Adam just says, "I think Jesse is an asshole. I don't think he's not a good person, and I want nothing to do with that guy." And then he stops himself and he goes, "Well, some people probably says I'm an asshole too, and they don't want anything to do with me. So I don't know. Take that for whatever it's worth." It's kind of what he says, which I guess covers your base, but still calls him out. Anyway, that was kind of the last little bit of their feud, their back and forth, right? So, as we may or may not know, there's been a lot of developments. So, not really, actually, recently, but there was developments that happened in about 2018 or so from the Brand New camp that they're no longer out there anymore. So, accusations, controversies, all those kind of fun things, right? So, the kicker on that entire thing, we're not going to get into it. I don't want to. But the kicker on that is that Taking Back Sunday, whether, I don't know, whatever we want to say, kind of got the last laugh because the person that kicked off that controversy was a roadie for Take Back Sunday. And he's the one that put it out there on Front Street that caused the ball to start rolling and to start really doing this whole thing. So
do you think that was done on purpose?
I don't think from the band. I'm not saying Take Back Sunday did it, but I think that he's a part of the bubble. So I think the bubble did not like Jesse and did not like Brand New, because I think they are bitter that Brand New has surpassed them, that Brand New is no longer considered their like equals, and they're no longer on the same plane at all. Like it's like Metallica. Like it's totally different, but Metallica has surpassed all the bands they toured with in 1983. They are no longer needing to tour those bands. They're not in the same conversation. They play similar music, but they're just not even a part of it anymore. And they haven't been at this Brand New for like 15 years. And so I think there's a lot of bitterness there. I think that there's a lot of people in that Take Back Sunday camp that don't like that whether they said it or not, that Brand New thought they were bigger than what they are, and they were better than them, and whatever even they are. There was a lot of bitterness there. So I think that the bubble, the people in that bubble were really happy to take down that band as much as they possibly could, and they did. And obviously people did things, maybe, I don't know, whatever, right? So people did whatever they did. But the people that started the ball rolling was somebody from the Taking Back Sunday camp. So effectively ended the band.
Is there like fans who are just on one side?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely there is. Like it's definitely like, maybe not anymore necessarily, but like in the moment, 100%. There was even like merch that came out. So I actually have the jacket that you might remember from back in high school. But Brand New came out with a shirt and a jacket that on it said mics are for singing and not swinging. And that's calling out Adam Lazzara directly, because Adam Lazzara swings the mic around, does the whole thing, whatever. And then Take Back Sunday came out with a shirt that said proudly swinging since 99. So like, it's a little back and forth bullshit. So so it's it says mics for singing, not swinging in the back of it. On the back of the jacket says, you know who you are. That's what it says. So like it's direct like bullshit, right? It's a lot of that stuff. And so there was definitely teams. These days, I don't think anybody gives a fuck about Taking Back Sunday anymore. Like, I like the records. I don't care about the new stuff. I don't care. I like the records that I like. I don't invest in the new records. I think the newest song they came out with like a week or two ago is probably the best thing they've done in like 5 or 6 years. And I just don't care anymore. And I think that they also still, at least certain people, not John, because I think John and Jesse are still friendly. I think I think John lives in Kansas and Jesse still lives in, actually Jesse just moved to Tennessee, like Nashville, like maybe 5 years ago. So like, I guess sort of close-ish, sort of. I don't know how that, whatever. It's
closer than New York. So
correct. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, but I think Adam Lazzara still has a lot of bitterness. I think a lot of the other guys do too. And I think they still also to this day have a very, very bitter thing that even though Brand New is canceled, I guess, or whatever, if they announced a tour tomorrow, they would sell out any venues they announced a tour with within an hour. And Taking Back Sunday can't sell out a tour with a 9-month lead time. So that's where
absence makes the heart grow fonder. So like
that's true, but I would tell you that if Brand New never broke up and they toured relentlessly, they would still do the same.
Okay.
Like it's just a cult. It's a cult fan base. It sucks. I hate Brand New fans. I hate them. They're the worst. Fucking hate. I hate that I am a Brand New fan, and Brand New fans are the worst. I have never been more unhappy at a show than when I'm at a Brand New show. It is the most bullshit experience ever because I hate all the other fans, except for my friends.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
sounds awesome.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's a shame that doesn't happen anymore. Shit.
Yeah, it is a shame. It sucks a lot. It sucks that I don't have that miserable feeling every 3 years.
I'm gonna go. I got 2 of the biggest ones of all time. So I'll try to get through as quick as possible because we've already ran into overtime.
Oh god.
Bonus time tonight.
Magnaflow, yeah.
I'm gonna go with probably the most infamous infamous feud in music history. I would say.
Mhm.
I would say it's the craziest. So, band I've talked about before, Mayhem. This is the record. Dave Mysterious, Dom Satanas. Mayhem, Norwegian black metal band, basically helped kick off the second wave of black metal. Still one of the most infamous, notorious names in music. Still a touring band, all that good stuff. So Euronymous, the leader of Mayhem and the leader of the black metal militia gang that was running amok in the 90s in Norway, burning churches, killing people, doing things you shouldn't be doing, all that fun stuff, running a record label, running a record store. He was the leader of the scene. A guy from Bergen came down named Varg Vikernes. He presented a tape of his band Burzum to Euronymous. Euronymous loved it right away, wanted to sign Varg and Burzum by proxy, then went to one band, signed them to Death Like Silence Productions, Euronymous' label. They did that. They released some records. Everybody loved those Burzum records. People still love them to this day. They're iconic records. You also kind of have to talk about Dead, the sort of original lead singer of Mayhem who committed suicide, because this kind of all ties in together. So Dead committed suicide before this album was released. A lot of the lyrics on here are Dead lyrics. Dead committed suicide. Euronymous, instead of calling the police when he showed up at the house that they lived in, took pictures, posed the body, took fragments of the skull, and would later send out fragments of the skull to people in the scene or people he respected, shit like that. So, just gnarly shit. Necro Butcher, the original bassist of Mayhem, who's currently in Mayhem and has been since after this album came out, wasn't cool with that and left the band basically immediately because of that. And there's some interesting newer developments on this, which I'll talk about. So Necro Butcher immediately left. Well, this is a mythical record in the scene. They were working on this record for so long. Euronymous would hype it up. The thing about it is he ran the scene. So like in fanzines and shit, he was always the hype guy behind it, but he was also like running it. So it's easy to hype up your own shit when you're running the entire scene. But this record was the most hyped record probably in the scene forever. It was talked about. Mayhem's first, their debut, their full length. So Dead killed himself. So they bring in Attila to do vocals. Attila's from Turkey. They bring Attila in to do vocals. And Varg, as I mentioned before, who's formed this bond with Euronymous, plays bass on this album. All the while this is going on, you have church burnings. Most of them are led by Varg. You have a murder that wasn't Varg. One of the dudes in Emperor killed a gay guy, and that a lot of people say that didn't sit well with Varg. Not that he killed somebody or killed a gay guy, because he wasn't the first to kill somebody.
Jesus Christ.
Now again, that's just, I don't think Varg has ever said that. That's people inferring, but who knows? I wouldn't be surprised. So keep in mind, all this shit's going on in the background. Okay. They're recording this record. They lay this down, and the record isn't even out yet. Okay. And Euronymous at the same time is kind of the leader of the scene, but he doesn't really do anything. Euronymous just takes credit for shit, like all the bad shit, but doesn't do anything. And he pulls the strings. Keep in mind, Euronymous is a lot. I think in some cases, like he's like 10 years older than the Dark Throne guys. I know he's maybe 7 or 8 years older than the Enslaved guys. Like he's older. So he's pulling the strings and influencing these dumb kids to do stupid shit. And create this like hype around this Norwegian black metal scene. That doesn't really sit well with Varg, because Varg's actually the one doing church burnings, leading this shit, yada, yada, yada. Also, Euronymous owes him a ton of money for royalties, and he owns the rights to Burzum. And there's actually a record that hadn't come out yet that Death Like Silence Productions own the rights to. And all of it comes to a head, and was a 93? Remember right? Yeah, 93. So 93, Varg and another guy in the scene drive down to Oslo to confront Euronymous. Varg says his intention wasn't to kill him. He was going down there to get the rights back and have a contract signed. That way he got his rights back to his music. Funny part about that is Varg also claims that he was told that Euronymous planned to capture and torture Varg. So, and kill him. So they were both hating each other at this point. Yeah. Whether or not that's true or not, or Euronymous really said this to people, who knows? So that's what we're going into. So Varg shows up at his apartment. They confront each other. Varg says that Euronymous went for a knife. Varg eventually kills Euronymous, stabs him like 23 times. You could read about this. This is so infamous, like it's on true crime podcasts. It's beyond metal or music.
It's bigger than the scene.
Yeah. Varg basically claims self-defense, like he was trying to kill me. He stabbed him 23 times, so it's a little excessive. So, but who really knows what happened that night? They're the only two people that do. One of them's dead. So Varg ends up going to prison, and he got the maximum sentence in Norway for murder, which is like 14 years. They also pinned everything on Varg, like all the church burnings. So they also had, according to Necro Butcher, and this stems in the new interview I was reading, he says that they had, which I believe, the cops had Varg's phones tapped. So Varg had discussions about going down there and confronting Euronymous. So there's the prevalent theory that the cops knew that he was going to kill him, but they just let it happen because they knew, like, let's get rid of both of these guys at the same time.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Wow.
So who knows? Also, Necro literally last year said, he admitted this, which I don't know if this is Marty Jannetty shit, but he said, I was going to kill Euronymous for all the dead stuff. And Necro Butcher was pretty mad that he wasn't on this record and, had left the band because of what Euronymous did with Dead and taking the photos and shit. So Necro admitted like he was going to kill him. Varg got to him first. Whether or not that's a true story or not, I have no idea. Because when he found out that Euronymous died, he said, I was scared shitless because I was going to be the number one suspect. So I'm like, oh shit. But eventually they found out it was Varg. So one of the most infamous stories ever. This record eventually comes out in 94 after Euronymous is dead. They got the tribute on the back to him. Euronymous is the guitar player in the band. And it's funny because Euronymous' parents asked, the fucking hilarious part about it is I was thinking about this the other day, is Hellhammer, the drummer, basically ends up as the only member. Because they brought Attila down just to sing vocals on this record because Dead killed himself. Euronymous is dead. Varg's going to prison. So Hellhammer ends up as the only member. So the family asked Hellhammer to remove Varg's bass tracks, and Hellhammer never did it. So they never re-recorded them. So Varg plays on what you hear is Varg.
Yeah.
So really crazy that he ended up with it. Eventually, Necro Butcher comes back. They reformed the band at Euronymous' funeral. Like, that's when Necro Butcher and Hellhammer got together and were like, all right, let's keep this going. The sad part about it is a lot of people discount a lot of those records. There's great music. There's great music after this album. This album's amazing, but there's great music after it. And a lot of this shit overshadows the band now, which I think Necro hates. But so it's hard to get past. But yeah, crazy. Also, another thing is Varg's a piece of shit. He's a racist, garbage human being. But also, Euronymous was not good. Like, people take sides with this. Like, Euronymous was also a terrible person that influenced people to kill people and burn churches, and was too much of a pussy not even to take credit, or too much of a pussy not to do it, but take credit for it. So like Euronymous is also not good at all.
Also,
like
Varg was the exact opposite. He took credit for everything. Hilarious.
No, Euronymous did.
Oh, Euronymous. Okay, oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he okay.
But Varg was actually doing a lot of the shit.
Doing it. Yeah.
Euronymous wasn't doing it. That's what ate at Varg, and was part of the whole, boiling point.
You're a fucking poser.
I just find it funny that people still take sides. Most people just take Euronymous sides because Varg is still alive to spew his bullshit. And like, if it happened the other way, I honestly think Varg would be remembered as this
same
icon and shit. Yeah, as this icon, like the opposite. Like people would remember Varg as this, crazy guy that burned churches, but he made such good music. And it's like Euronymous gets remembered as this hero. And it's funny because a lot of the dudes in the scene, I don't think they liked Euronymous. I think they tolerated him, but
they like Varg.
No, I don't think they like Varg either. But my point is, like, Hellhammer didn't remove the bass tracks. So what's that tell you? Obviously, he didn't give a shit that Varg killed Euronymous. Like, there's deep lore to that. You can look up podcasts about it. It's crazy. That's one of the most infamous feuds ever because obviously it ended in murder.
Murder.
Yeah.
God damn.
And my last one, obviously the big one. Metallica versus Mega Dave. I just pulled no, this isn't the latest record anymore, but I pulled the latest records that I have. I mean, what's there to say about it that hasn't already been said? Dave gets kicked out of Metallica, forms Megadeth, constant disses back and forth. The funny part about this is it still goes on. Like, as recently as that, like, the reunion shows, Dave always says there was supposed to, or the Big Four shows, there was supposed to be more, and Lars couldn't get past it, and Lars didn't want to do it. And then you get into the No Life Till Leather tape that came out. There was supposed to be like a deluxe edition of that had more songs. And then Dave says Lars wanted me to sign over complete rights to songs that I 100% wrote, and I wasn't going to do that. So like, this is still like an ongoing thing. They've tentatively like made up sometimes. Like Dave was at the 30th anniversary shows, and they did the few Big Four shows. But it's one of the most infamous feuds ever. It's kind of one-sided because you always have. Now, Metallica has taken swipes at Dave. Like, they've said he's inconsequential before. Like, he was always going to get kicked out, that type of shit. So they're not blameless in this at all, but it's kind of one-sided because Metallica's Metallica, and Megadeth's big in its own right, but it's Megadeth. So one of my favorite feuds ever. Because I love Dave Mustaine. I love Lars Ulrich too, just because they're such weirdos. Like, they're the weirdest personalities, egomaniacs. Like, but you have to be like that to reach the levels that they have. Most of the time, like, so you have to be strange and weird. And the funny part about this is, like, I think if it was any other two people, like, I think if it was just James and Dave, like, this would have been squashed years ago.
Yeah, but it's everything.
But because it's mostly Lars and Dave, like, those two personalities don't mix. So,
well, what's funny is when we were talking the other night about because we watched the Megadeth show, whatever we were talking about, that the alternate universe of Metallica, which is very fun. Which the alternate universe is that never kick Dave out, and then Cliff lives. And they kick Lars out, because supposedly Dave always talks about they were going to kick Lars out anyway. They were going to do that. They were talking about kicking Lars out, Ride the Lightning. I think Ride the Lightning tour, right? They were going to kick Lars out. And so in theory, if that all came together, that band is a very, very interesting band. The trajectory they were on is very different because everyone says that Cliff was like the guy. So he might not have gone with the Black Album sound or any other sound they did in the late 80s. And then obviously the mid 90s and everything else been a very different deal. And plus you have Dave and James going back and forth. There could be a dual vocal too if Dave ever decided he wanted to sing because he didn't want to sing before, he just had to. Which is also funny because like I think James has said the same thing about Metallica.
He said the same thing,
yeah, I didn't want to sing, but I had to, so it was very funny. But also I was going to say, that same night, I was going because the internet, everything listens to you, right? It's awesome. So
Yeah.
that same night, a reel came up, and the reel came up and they said, I love Lars. Me and Lars are good. Me and James, I don't know. I haven't talked to the guy. I don't know. I think we're fine. Like, it was the exact opposite of what he said prior. So like, I've
Yeah.
heard him say the exact opposite before, like you
Mm.
just said, and it's like, I don't know. It depends on
But
the decade,
well,
I
it's funny
guess.
because like there's some kind of monster saying like that's just Lars and Dave.
Mm-hmm.
So like James isn't even involved in any of that. So like,
Yeah,
and then Dave was bitter about that because he's like, I didn't approve any of this footage to get out there and use, and they took 5 minutes of a 3-hour interview and all this shit. It's like, it's one of it's the craziest feeds ever because like you were on the precipice of being in the biggest band ever, but the alternate reality is maybe they wouldn't have been the biggest band ever if you didn't leave. Um,
totally.
I'm totally fine with it because I love both bands. I generally lean more Megadeth over Metallica if I had to bin or spin, but
Yeah.
I I don't have to. So like I love the fact that we got Megadeth and got years of great music. So like I think it's worked out. Like I think it's one of the best feuds ever because it worked out for everybody. Like Dave's a
Well,
multi-millionaire. Like I don't, like what else? What
but
more do you want?
for sure, but like we've had this conversation 1,000 times. But it's just insane to think that, like, still in Dave's mind, he's nothing because Metallica is Metallica, and Megadeth is who Megadeth is. And in
Yeah,
Dave Mustaine's most idyllic of worlds, his utopia, Megadeth never existed. That's in
yeah.
Dave's perfect world.
I I think some of that has kind of lessened a little bit because like he's him doing the stuff with Marty. I sent you that clip of Matt Heafy from Trivium singing Tornado of Souls. He sings the whole song.
Yeah,
Like Dave doesn't sing anything. Like
yeah.
I think he's lessening that type of shit because that old Dave wouldn't have done that.
I Do you think that's with him going through cancer treatment and everything else, and kind of seeing like some like
I think
mortality?
so. Like it's like less like not that he has feuds with Matt from Trivium. He doesn't, but
Yeah.
him and Marty, that's kind of a bad breakup too.
Mhm.
So like obviously they're on good terms now. So like
Yeah.
I think he's kind of lessening that, like becoming more secure in his legacy, which tells me that's why you let another dude sing your song, like the whole song, like you didn't even care, which is
Yeah.
it's really cool by the way. It sounds great. It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, man, it's one of the most crazy things. Like it's, it's kind of like what's his face, the Beatles. Like it's kind of
That's the
it's
story.
very similar thing. So,
Yeah, but the story usually goes the Pete Best way, where the guy left the band
oh,
or got kicked out,
disappears.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, and then he's, that does nothing, and he's just dead now. And
Mm,
now his story is that I was in Metallica, or I was in whatever band. Like
yeah.
that was, and then, oh well, what record are you on? I got kicked out, or I left, or whatever. That's usually the story for these guys. And to see that
Yeah.
Dave managed to still,
Become a
I
giant
guess,
band.
yeah, become giant, and he still reached his potential. Like, I don't know, maybe that's not true. I don't know, but like he still became. I mean, he's the guy we talk about, and like he has a rightful. He's insane. He's a megalomaniac. He's insane, whatever, right? But he has a rightful claim into being the like forefather of thrash metal. Like his sound, his guitar work, all that stuff. He
Yeah.
has a claim that every band in that scene is a Dave Mustaine influence, or of influence from Dave Mustaine. He has a hand in it. So it's like,
Yeah, he's got his fingerprints in a lot of it. So like, yeah, I
yeah,
agree. I mean, Kill 'Em All has Dave songs on it. It's got Dave riffs. So like,
yeah.
and then obviously with his
Megadeth,
early work with Megadeth,
yeah.
So
And
also
then
he could have
Carrie
had
was in
Carrie
Slayer.
could have had Carrie in Megadeth, which would be another crazy alternate reality.
Carrie said that
So
I watched this. Carrie said he was in Megadeth for like 6 months. I didn't know it was that long.
okay, I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
thought they
he
did
was.
play shows, but like
They
I didn't know it
did.
was that. Okay.
Yeah, he was in Megadeth for like I want to. I maybe 4 to 6 months. He talked about it in an interview. He was like, "Yeah, I was in there for like 4 months, or whatever, 6 months, whatever he said." And he's like, "We played shows, and it was crazy because he just says like, I just would watch Dave." He's like, I still can't do that shit to this day. I can't do what Dave does. I couldn't do what Dave does then. I can't do it now. He's like,
Mhm.
I couldn't process what Dave was doing on guitar. And
Yeah.
then obviously took it back to Slayer and did what he did. So, and then I
Yeah,
forget what
I don't
Xanthrax's gimmick is, but he has another claim there.
I just know a lot of people that are into guitar, like, Slayer's weird because of the way Carey plays. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like I think Jeff's a better guitar player, generally what people say. But, like, Carey's, like, solos, like, the way they do that is so, like, Slayer-esque. Like, nobody does
Yeah.
it that way, just and it's almost the wrong way to do things, but it just works out
Yeah.
for them, so,
It's a perfect storm
yeah.
of shit.
It's one of the biggest feuds ever. So like I'd put it up there with Oasis. Like it's one of the longest standing
And
ongoing feuds.
every year you
Uh,
have new little bits about something other from somebody. Somebody said something, and like then it gets examined and like, oh
yeah,
shit, and so and so. And there's still that thing where Dave was gonna have a band with James. So like that was still a thing that he was talking like 3 years ago. So
yeah, it was never gonna happen.
no.
Yeah, that was never, dude. They almost broke up over their bass player forming another band. That was a reason I don't think they'd ever let James do that, or James ever want to, obviously. So. Anyways, guys, we made it to the end of another episode, a long one. Got a banger of a long episode tonight, but I don't know how else to do this other than just to bullshit and talk about the feuds. Like, so, it's not fun if you just go Megadeth versus Metallica. Like, okay, that's my number one feud. So I enjoyed this. This is a fun one. Hit the like button, subscribe if you made it this far. We'd appreciate you. You made it this far. You might as well hit the subscribe button. And if you made it this far, you get to find out what next week's topic is. So Tyler chose this topic, so it's my choice. And I'm going to go with one that we've kind of been talking about. I got a couple options, but I'm feeling this. Bring your top five. Not the objective opinion, if there is one. Your personal top five greatest American rock bands.
Wow. All right.
So like, don't feel like if you don't want to put Aerosmith on the list, don't feel the need to put Aerosmith on the list. I want to hear your opinion.
Okay.
Obviously I think Aerosmith would be on most people's lists and should be, but I just want to hear your the Beatles aren't American, so I don't know what we're doing here. Bands. You're gonna put E Street Band on there?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, you piece of shit. Sorry.
I'm gonna change the topic now. So anyways. Yeah, bring your top five, your personal top five greatest American rock bands. Like if we had a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and was only American bands, these would be your first inductees. Let's do that. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.